He's got a big brain, Eric, that's his name. A Fortnite quest, he's seeking fame in the state tournament. He aims to win, representing New You. He'll defeat the sin with his skills and strategy.
I found myself just kind of walking through, I don't know, it was kind of like a mechanical maze of like, instead of three-dimensional, it felt like it was like a fourth or fifth dimension involved. I was kind of surrounded by just all sorts of jagged shapes and geometry, kind of like thick, like a briar patch, just almost as if you could barely find your way through if you tried pushing. But if you tried, you just kind of got snagged up on all these jagged, sharp shapes all around. The best way I can describe it was just it was like fractal like patterns, but three-dimensional but deeper, as if there was something more involved in it. These patterns and shapes were kind of made up of kind of strands, interconnected strands, or maybe they're wires or something that were just kind of interlocked in these shapes that I can't really process what they were, but they were just these elaborate shapes with a depth of infinity. And I was trying to push my way through them, and just the harder I pushed, the harder it became to progress forward. I would just kind of snag up the strands of these fractal shapes, would kind of catch in my arms, my legs. And this is as if they had like a consciousness to them, kind of holding me back. But I had remembered at this point that I'm thinking too much. I'm overthinking everything. Just calm down, quiet my mind, and just don't think about it. And when I did that, I started slipping forward effortlessly. Actually, I wanted to go in that specific direction, and because I just stopped thinking about it and just let it happen, it's as if all those little strands of these fractal shapes were no longer snagging, but instead just kind of gliding past me, almost like jello. They were kind of slightly warping around me, not really dragging along me anymore. And just the more this happened, the more natural it became, and just felt like I was moving quicker and quicker forward. But what was weird is that visually, it's really hard to explain it. Visually, it seemed like I was moving forward, but physically, almost as like a sensation was different than what I was seeing. Instead of going forward sensation-wise, I was being split into multiple directions at once, and not multiple, more than that. Almost out into like an infinity, kind of like a lotus kind of flower pattern, just spanning off in all directions. So mentally, I have the sensation I'm going visually that I'm going forward, but physically, I feel myself just splitting and like flower petals off in every direction, as if because I've just given away and just given up who I was, all thoughts of my ego. I just kind of melted and melded into this complex geometric pattern shape, and it's almost as if I was merging with it, becoming part of something greater. It's really hard to. It's really difficult for me to put it in words. But this went on for a bit, and at one point, mentally it seemed like this expanse of geometric patterns, fractals, was infinite, but yet somehow after a time I found myself on the other side of infinity, if that makes any sort of sense. And I just kind of began to coalesce back into a more physical, I guess. Um, and as I coalesce into my physical self again, I turn around and look, and I'm kind of getting a more above view of the dense fractal patterns that just pushed myself through. And this goes back to the turtle thing that always shows up. It looked like, I don't know if anyone's seen like a box turtle shell. It has all these really intricate kind of like patterns and geometric shapes to it. It looked like a turtle shell, but made up of interlocking lines and shapes that did not really have a solid mass, but just kind of expanded down into infinity, downwards, outwards, time, I guess. I don't even think time really mattered here. But I just, this entire time, I felt another presence about. And I was getting the feeling at this point, once I've coalesced, I started realizing that there was another presence that had been watching me this entire time. And I feel like whatever that presence was is what allowed me to become just to let go, just stop thinking and just exist and nothing else. And that's what allowed me to kind of like, I don't know, just kind of like jello ties or something like that and just kind of slip and slide through as if it was a natural form of movement in whatever reality, or maybe it was a different dimension. I don't know. But I kind of felt this overall appraisal of he got it. Almost as if it was unexpected, but kind of applauding at the same time. At this point, I had just kind of chilled where I was at. I was kind of floating in, it really wasn't a void of blackness, but it was kind of just swirling patterns and colors, shapes. But they were kind of like where I just came from. And I was kind of in a position of like high ground. And just from a, now I was at a position where I could just observe it all as if it just kind of did its own movements, pulses, the geometric patterns kept changing on their own. And I was just at this point content, just observing. I wasn't saying anything. I wasn't really thinking of anything. I was just kind of enjoying, I guess, just observing whatever this was. And the dream was much longer than what that was the majority of the dream. But to me, it almost, it felt like more than just a night's worth of sleep. I can't really put into words of how long it actually felt to me. But the geometric patterns were just, once I had got out, it did kind of look like a lotus flower pattern, but like on a infinite in scale and depth turtle shell, kind of like a box turtle, kind of like if you Google that, you'll see kind of what I'm talking about. It somewhat looked like that. It's the closest thing I can really describe it to, and that was my dream.
Yeah, it's very simple. And so in the beginning of the experience, you're trying to move through these jagged shapes. And, it's very restricting, as you can see. And so these are your own creations. And this is This is, a part of yourself, and we all go through this. We all go through this. It's like we all go through our own boot camp obstacle courses because we've created it. We've created it from many lifetimes that we don't remember what we created. And now as you become more aware, you start to see little by little what you have created and what is restricting you, but you still don't understand what's going on. It's just like, where am I? What's going on? But you'll notice that as you all of a sudden, instead of trying to push through, but let go, all right, it changes. Because by letting go, you actually let go of your agreement with it. We all agree to our restrictions. People like to have attitudes. This is just how it is. We're built into that, built into having the attitudes, having the restrictions, etc., with all the things that we have experienced. And, most people love their attitudes. And they're basically all restrictions. They just don't see it. They see the surface world, how they've created their surface world, but they don't see the other worlds that they're dealing with in creation and how they're restricted. So eventually, through their attitudes and their agreements and their likes and dislikes, they start to come upon, restrictions like you do, or something else, or arguments, or drama, or whatever you want to call it. Different situations, illnesses, diseases, cancers, etc. It all affects the personal physical body. This is the dumping ground. This is, you might say, the bottom body. Okay, it all dumps down to the physical sense. And because we have been raised and taught that, we're to think that we're this human body. But we're not. It's just a body. It is not us at all because we are aware now. And the body would not be moving around, would not be talking, would not be animating without the awareness in it. So it's not the mind, it's not the brain, it's not the blood. But these things are mechanisms like your car. Your car needs the fuel, it needs the oil, it needs the brake fluid, it needs the generator, the motor, the radiator. All these things make up what equals that engine working, along with the drive shaft and the transmission and the wheels and the steering wheel, everything that it takes. And the body's the same way. It's all these pieces, very complex machinery, but that's all it is, just a machine. But people think it's, I'm human, I'm special, whatever. Well, that's fine. Again, you can think whatever you want, but it doesn't mean it's so. It's not about thinking. Life is not about thinking. That's a personal thing, like your computer has a program. That's it. That's as far as it goes. Whatever programs on your computer, that's it. Maybe someone else has got it. Maybe you're connected to the internet. But what you do on your computer, that's your world, just like in your head. It's like I'm telling Eric, that's all in your head. And what you do in the outside world, well, that's your choice too, etc. And there's a lot to it. Okay, so now what you're seeing an objective view of creative parts of yourself, and the turtle shows up a lot because, again, turtles are very slow and they like to hide in their shells, don't they? So you seem to get this metaphor, this idea, etc., and you can work through that, but you're starting to see how this works. And you're at a viewpoint, and yes, you're being watched, you're put through like a test to see how you will do. And actually, the whole process of becoming more aware is to learn to let go, eventually, of everything. Those are where the three nothings come in. I discovered those decades ago, and then I shared them. I know nothing, I am nothing, I want nothing. But it has to be real. It's not just you say them like a mantra. It has to be real, okay? And so again, because all life is what it is, and we are the experiencer. So you are going through your process, okay, of seeing what's taking place with what you've decided and what you've agreed to. And it's a lot. It's a lot, Phil. And look at the experiences that you've had since you've been doing the new you, etc., and listening to Eric's experiences. You see, I keep trying to tell you kids that, your experiences are very good. They're exceptional if you pay attention to them. But the hardest thing for anyone is to see themselves. And so this is where I recommend people get in groups to listen to others' experiences so they have an objective view, like watching a movie. So you're not thinking it's about you. It's like, oh, this guy over here, he has that situation. Well, actually, what you're listening to from someone else is exactly what you're going through, only it appears different. So that guy over there is wearing a pair of pants, and so are you. Hey, maybe he's wearing blue Levi's and you're wearing slacks. They're still pants. They don't matter. There's no different. Not one's better than the other. They're threads. That's it. That's it. Wearing a shirt looks different, etc. It's still a shirt. You see? But we've created these labels in our heads, literalized ourselves according to the system that controls us, thinking that, oh, these are specially washed Levi's, and I bought these blah blah blah, and the other guy's thinking, well, my slacks, this guy over here, he must be a bum. My slacks are Saks Fifth Avenue, whatever. See, again, you're looking at labels, you're agreeing with labels. It's all illusion, and that's okay. Still have the slacks, buy the Levi's, whatever. It's not about that, or whatever tennis shoes you want to wear, Nike or Kmart or Walmart, whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, what matters is, whole life is awareness. And so you know that now. And so you can have a position where you're free of all restrictions once you know how to recognize this and handle it. And that's a huge journey, okay? That's a huge journey. Climbing Mount Everest in your underwear would be a lot easier. This is hard. It's simple, but it's really hard because of the focus, and you really got to practice. And so you're given the hints, and I'm helping you along here. You're fortunate that I am here, because most people don't know this stuff. You can talk to some of the other people I know, and they're going to give you ideas, but not like I do, because they don't have the same awareness. It's all about awareness. It's not about if a man's smarter, or he's got degrees, or he's got a better job, or he makes more money. No, that's all fabricated, created stuff and creation. I could do that. I've done it. I had my own business. I could do what Trump does and all them. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be totally involved in the business world, etc. I want to show people how to wake up and recognize the isness life is, because that's real, that's awesome, and that's everything and all. And everything here, this will all turn to nothing. History, everything means nothing. People think of themselves like, oh, I want to be in the history books, etc. It ain't going to be nothing. You're going to be in another dimension, in this dimension here. Nobody cares anyhow, because the world controllers, they change history, and they're going to write funny things about you that you're going to see are not even true, because again, they control people's minds. So they're going to write all kinds of stuff, and just like those things you learned in high school, it's all BS. They made it all up. Just like the gods and the saviors and the angels and all this stuff. Yeah, there are individuals on other dimensions playing those roles, like in an opera, but it's just role playing, like here, etc. It's role playing, because there's a much bigger picture. So you're getting a small fragment of what's going on. Again, Phil, you're getting another view, and this is about your real awareness, okay? Your personal self is involved, Okay, it takes part, but it's really for the real you, your real awareness, to have the recognition of what's taking place. Now, you see the start of the experience, and as you go through it, etc., that's with your real awareness. Your mind and your personal self, they don't really care. Because how's it going to relate that to the world that it lives in, this personal self here? It can't. Yeah. And it's just like your car. You know, your car doesn't care if all the other cars on the road are faster than you. You know, you may care. Okay, that's in your head. But the car, it doesn't care. It's just the car. You see? There's a difference there. So you're going to get a lot of these experiences that give you an objective view, and it's up to you and your real awareness to, you might say, decipher this and recognize, what is the value of this experience? What do I see as the value of this according to my real awareness? And when the real awareness gets it, the personal self will adapt. That comes first. Not that it goes through your brain first. See, this is where you're controlled in this world with all this gummy information you're getting, all this nonsense that's basically people are bombarded with, thinking that they want faster and faster information with 5G. They're just getting more Wi-Fi and radiation and more mind control is what they're getting, etc. That's the personal self. And the real awareness is taking that in too, but it needs the help of the personal self, because the personal self has to recognize that it's the real awareness that has to have the recognition. When you just have a recognition with the personal self, like, oh, maybe you're an entrepreneur or something, well, that's great, but you have no recognition with your real self, so you're just going to go into more lifetimes. You're just going to grow old, go into more lifetimes, and everything that you've created, you can't take it with you, because you're going to be gone. You're going to be into another dimension. And then you're going to reincarnate unconsciously again and start over. So it ain't going to matter that you were Bill Gates or Warren Buffett in your last lifetime, because that's all gone. You're a new baby boy or baby girl now. It's all gone. It all means nothing. It's puff smoke. So when it gets to the real awareness and you allow the real awareness to recognize what's taking place, then you're on your way to a much better position and eventually surpassing karma and reincarnation altogether. But that takes awareness, and you have to learn how to do that, and there's the guidance there, and you have to pay attention. But if you want to think of yourself as something here, go right ahead, because then you've just stuck yourself here for more lifetimes, because that's what most people think. They've got all these ideas about themselves and others, and so they're stuck with them. They don't see the bigger picture of what all life is, and creation is not life. It's a simulator. Everything here, and all the levels of creation, simulation, that's it. It only appears to be so, but it's not. It's not it at all. It's what's operating your five bodies. So you are the experiencer, Phil, and that's very good experience. And you see, you do the opposite. You don't have to struggle to have something in your life. You simply merely learn to recognize how to have it in your life, and you do what you do. You don't have to force it or struggle it. You see? Thank you for sharing.
He's got a big brain,